Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. A slightly different topic today. I know I've been putting so much content about my hip replacement online, so we're going to change it up a little bit today. Today I thought we would revisit ADHD, mostly because it's something that I'm kind of struggling with at the moment. Because of my hip replacement, I actually had to go off my ADHD medication, so I haven't had any since about December of 2023. And so I just wanted to share with you guys a few of the symptoms that I've been noticing and just talk to you about how it's been affecting me, what's been going on, and what I'm trying to do to manage it. Not really successfully, but I thought I'd share that with you guys. So the award-winning #1 symptom that I have found is that I am procrastinating like a motherfucker. I am procrastinating every possible thing that I could be procrastinating, and that is just kind of, it's beating my self-esteem down a little bit. It's making me feel quite ashamed because I know that I should be doing things. I sit on the couch or I sit in bed and I'm like, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. And I just can't seem to get to that point of initiation. And before I was on medication, this was definitely the thing that has been the biggest problem. Now that I'm off the medication, that's the biggest problem again. I can motivate myself if I feel good or if something really excites me. So if we're sitting down to have food, I can get up and do that. If I'm sitting down to go have a shower, I can do that because it's freezing and like I want to get warm and the shower feels good. But when it comes to tasks like admin, I've been applying for my visa, I've been doing programming for clients, that kind of stuff is being done in the last possible minute. And as a result of that, I'm becoming quite overwhelmed. Because I'm overwhelmed, it's making my anxiety increase. But also a really interesting point that I thought was worth sharing is that when you're procrastinating, you're doing all of these things, it actually becomes harder to take rest that your brain and your body needs because you feel like you've wasted so much time not doing things. So now you can't actually do things that allow your body to completely rest and rejuvenate and recharge so that you have the energy to do things. So then you get stuck in kind of like this cycle that's really unpleasant. And honestly, I'm struggling to manage that a little bit. I think the few things that I am doing are things like capitalizing. If I have a good moment, I'm just going all in. I'm going with the flow. I'm going with the natural rhythms of my body. If I feel excited about doing something, I've got about 5 seconds to do it before my brain turns off or I change my mind. I actually think Mel Robbins is a big proponent of this technique where it's like, if you think about doing something, just count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have to get up and do it before those 5 seconds runs out. And when you make it like a 5-second challenge, then your brain kind of gets a little bit excited. So I have been trying to do that. If I think something, I have to do it right away because if it slips past that 5-second period, it doesn't get initiated. And even then, it's not a perfect system, but at least it's something, you know? Another one of my main symptoms that I have noticed is the inability to prioritize. So I might have 100 things that I need to do. I've never had 100 things that I need to do. That's how it feels though. It feels overwhelming, even though it's probably not. But it feels like I have 100 things to do. And instead of being like, okay, here are 3 things on that list that actively need to get done, my brain is like, oh, but I can tick off all these other things. Those 3 things are fine. They don't really need to be done. And that inability to sort things out in that way, I did notice that that was better when I was on medication. Again, because it helped with that initiation. It helped with this is important and I have to do this. And then I went to go do it. So I really didn't need to prioritize as much, which is probably a skill that I need to work on now that I'm thinking about this. Because I know it's a skill, but it's also just, it's a bit funny having a brain that doesn't like to do things. And actually, just before we move on to the next point that I was gonna say, I had a conversation with Callum the other day and I asked him what his brain sounds like at rest. And he was like, I don't know, it's pretty quiet. And I was gobsmacked. How is your brain quiet? Do you guys have quiet brains? Those of you who are watching this? My brain has 1,000 things happening all at once. Sometimes I'll ask a question or I'll say something and it makes no sense because my brain is working 1,000 miles an hour. It is going so fast and my mouth can't keep up. I think you can hear it in some of my videos. I stutter a lot because I'm like, because basically that all my thoughts are trying to come out at once and it's just, you quiet-brained people. What a beautiful thing. Wow. I hope you enjoy. I hope you know how lucky you are. The next symptom that I've noticed since being off of my ADHD medication is that I'm forgetting things a lot. I don't know if the medication actually affects your working memory or anything like that. If you guys know, let me know down below in the comments. But I think that the medication allows for the distractions to be tuned out or the extraneous details to be tuned out so that when I'm in the middle of a task, I'm not having to remember where I'm up to because 50 other things have happened happened at once that I'm paying attention to. Instead, I'm able to tune out those 50 other things so that I can just focus on the task. And in that same way, if I needed to pause, like if I was writing an essay, if I had to pause in the middle of the essay, the medication made it easier for me to be able to pick back up or remember my train of thought and where I was going at that moment. Whereas in the past or right now, when I haven't been on medication, I feel that I need to hyper focus and I feel that I need to get everything done in one sitting, because if I stop, it's so much harder to pick it back up again, or it's so much harder to remember where I left off. Saying that out loud, I think that is also kind of the reason why that procrastination becomes so bad for those of us with ADHD brains, because you feel like you have to do it all at once. Like breaking it down into smaller parts is hard, because then you have to initiate, like you have to motivate yourself for each of those parts each time you decide to pick up that task or try something new. Whereas when you struggle with that initiation, you have to do everything at once. Otherwise, it's not gonna happen because it's so hard. Does that make sense? That made perfect sense in my brain. Tell me if that's one of those things where I've just tried to articulate it and it's just gone blah, 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 blah. But with all of these symptoms coming back, and honestly, I have been less productive off of ADHD medication. I would love to say that I haven't seen a change, but I have. And that does make me sad. And there is a part of my brain that I think is probably a narrative that I'm getting from society at large. But there's that part that's saying that I shouldn't need medication or I shouldn't need help in order to do things that other people do just normally. Like I shouldn't need to rely on medication to get work done or to do the laundry or to wash the dishes. It kind of can feel as though you're failing as being a human. I know that there's a huge stigma with mental health medication, so please don't, if you're hearing me saying this and I don't know, if it sounds like I'm stigmatizing this, I'm not. I'm just purely, I'm not trying to, at least. I'm just purely trying to share my thoughts on it. But I do think that is kind of like an ableist mindset, right? Like some people need accommodations and some people need extra help to live in this society. Like it's called neurodivergent for a reason. And the shame that I feel around that is not justified and it's not productive. Well, I kind of hate that word, but it's not useful. If I'm trying to make changes or if I'm trying to get myself into a routine or I'm trying to find ways to work with my brain so that I can get the things I need to done and so that I can get the things I want to done, then beating myself up and shaming myself and being like, why do you need medication? Blah, blah, blah. Like that's not a helpful standpoint to have. So I think a lot of this, and I say this in probably a million different videos, fuck, I really like the exaggeration in this video. I do say it in so many different videos that I think it's so important to try and give ourselves a bit of grace. I say this as somebody who actively tries to do this and I probably fail all the time, but it's an active effort. It's trying to be nice to myself and realize that it's okay if I do things differently. We don't have to do things exactly like everybody else, and it doesn't mean that we're any less worthy. It doesn't mean that we're less smart, less productive, less ambitious. It just means that we have a brain that works a little bit differently. That's all. And navigating that in our own way that works for us is nothing to be ashamed of. This video also comes at a weird time because I have tried starting my medication again, but I've been having a few adverse symptoms in that it's made my heart rate go really high, which has made my anxiety go high, and it's given me like this constant shake. I'm not actually on the medication right now, but that's literally what my body was like for about 8 hours. And it really frightened me, to be honest. So I think I'm gonna ask to go back to like the shorter acting medication and just introduce it from there. Because in reality, I don't know if I actually get more than like 4 hours of work done a day. I think that's pretty hopeful. I don't know if I need the full 8-hour medication. We'll see, and I'll keep you guys updated as I navigate through that. But I did just want to jump on and speak to you guys and let you know where I'm at with everything, because this has just been a bit of a weird time. On the topic of giving myself grace, I need to do that. I had a massive operation less than 2 months ago, and it's okay for me to be learning how to adjust back into rhythms and everything at my own pace. And I want to let you guys know that it's okay to do that too. So that's it for me today, guys. I hope you're all doing well, and I hope you guys are being kind to yourselves. Know that I'm thinking of you and that I'm sending out some love, and you deserve kindness and love and joy and everything wonderful, and you deserve to find ways of coping with your beautiful brains. Have an amazing week ahead, guys, and I will see you next time. Bye.